Good afternoon and welcome to Blues Deluxe. And I have one of my favorite guys on the line with me, JW Jones. Hello, JW. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, very well. How are you?
I'm good. It's been a
Excellent.
while since you and I spoke last. We were, your last record we discussed, and then in between that, you did a thing with the Horojo Trio, and that record was great. I love both those records.
Oh, thank you very much.
And you got a new one.
Yeah, the latest one came out, I guess, about a year ago now. It's called Everything Now, and I did a lot of the production in Austin, Texas, with a guy named Gordy Johnson from a band called Big Sugar, also known from Grady, a band he had with Chris Layton. Um, and then I did some of the production here, probably a third of it here in Ottawa, with a guy named Eric Eggleston, who worked on Sonic Departures and some of my previous stuff.
Yep.
And the album's got special guest Jimmy Vaughn on a song, so it's a
Cool.
dream come true for me in that way.
Yeah, I've been playing your live album too every so often. There's a lot of great stuff on that.
Thank you.
So yeah, it's been a little while, and you're going to be in town this coming weekend, actually at Chan's in Woonsocket.
That's right. Yeah, it'll be our second time there, so that's coming up Saturday night. And yeah, the first time we were there, I have to admit there wasn't a big crowd, but we had amazing response, and so I really hope that that translates to getting back there and continuing to build the audience.
Yeah, it's a great little club. He's been around for a while, and all kinds of great people have come in and out of that club
Oh yeah,
over the years.
yeah,
And I mean, it's a special little place. Great food, great little
yeah,
atmosphere,
yeah,
and some of the greats who played in that club. It's crazy.
yeah, absolutely.
So that's a good thing. You're getting a regular schedule over there with them. That's good. And John is a great guy. He's a big blues and jazz fan. You
Yeah.
can tell just
Oh yeah.
by the way he promotes things in the club, and I promote for him too, which is good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, he's great. He was, I've heard of a lot of my favorite acts playing there, whether it's Sugar Ray and the Blue Tones, Kim Wilson, Duke Robillard, all these guys. They all play there, and I've seen it on their schedules for forever. You know what I mean? And then to be able to play it and see all the posters on the wall,
Yep.
and like there's just so much history there. And for the fact that it's like a Chinese food restaurant mixed with blues, it's unusual, but it's like also unique and super cool.
Well,
So
all the signed photos down that hallway. He's got
yeah,
them, all kinds of them, from
yeah, yeah.
all periods of time, 50s, 60s, 70s, people that were in there, both jazz and blues, which is
Yeah,
it's crazy when you see some of that stuff.
yeah, incredible. So anyway, yeah, he had me sign a guitar and a few things while I was there, and really made us feel at home. And I just look forward to keep continuing to build the audience there. And so that's the hardest part for me, because the way Facebook is now, and social media, if you don't do target advertising, it's almost impossible for anyone to even know you're going to be there. So I'm hoping to get the word out as much as possible, and that it's got to be a grassroots thing at this point, where friends of friends and fans are telling people specifically,
Yep.
hey, you go and see this act, because if that doesn't happen, it's very difficult now to get the word out.
You're not kidding. And less and less clubs to play in too
Yeah, yeah.
lately.
Mhm.
But there are some that are open again too. It's starting to come back a little bit.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, yeah, there have been a lot of clubs that have closed down, and some have come out of COVID and survived, and others have been born since COVID and things like that. But what I've noticed lately, for myself anyway, is that the more we book house concerts and things like that, that's a really good way of getting a community and getting the local communities from those areas to come out and support the band, and pay a real ticket price too, right? Because
Yep.
you just can't survive playing at these places that charge $5, $10 for cover. It's not enough money to make the world go round, so to speak,
Right.
with the music business. I mean, with all the expenses, you've got to be getting at least $20 to $30 a show per ticket, just to be able to put the gas in the tank and pay for the hotels and pay the guys, and
Yep.
hopefully you sell some merch, right?
Well, there's other clubs around. Have you ever played the Bull Run here in Shirley, Mass?
No, I'd love to. I have contacted, so for your area, I have contacted, no joke, at least 15 to 20 different venues, and three of them replied, maybe, if I'm lucky. And it is very difficult to get people to reply. I don't know why. I'm doing everything I can on my end. I'm picking up the phone, I'm calling them, and it's nearly impossible to reach people if you're not in the inside,
You need a
the
booker to do it.
well, that's right, exactly. And then the problem with the big agents, and I used to be with Piedmont Talent, so I know how it goes. If you're not one of the higher, the more popular people on that agency, then they can't book you anyway because they're booking those guys. And then if it trickles down to you, you're lucky. Um, but yeah, everyone's so busy. Everyone's got a
Yeah,
thing
there's a
happening.
place called Jimmy's Jazz and Blues in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Another place that you should be playing.
Please tell them to call me. I've tried every avenue I can think of, and nothing's worked so far. So I need them to call me because I know we put on a great show. I mean, that's one thing that sets us apart from other bands is that we don't just go up there and play songs from our latest record. We put on a show, and anyone that's seen us, if you look at the reviews, they'll tell you like this is not just a band that's going up there playing some straight up 12-bar blues. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but we do it and we put on a big show, and the energy from the stage is palpable. That's what we do, and that's usually a thing that gets the audiences freaking out. And if the venues knew that, then I think we'd get more bookings just on that alone. But these days it's all about Spotify numbers and this and that, and they're not looking at what it does in the immediate moment at the show itself, which arguably is the most important thing. You pay a ticket price to go see a band. You're looking for the thrill of that event that night. It doesn't matter how many records they've sold. What difference does that make?
Yep.
You're going to pay money to see this thing in this time, and it should be special. It should be unique, and it should leave them wanting more, and that's, I think, what we really do.
So let's talk about the Hirojo Trio, which is kind of funny. When I asked you about that and where the name came from, and it's all your last names, right?
Yeah, exactly.
First two letters of each person's last name.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
And you would think it was either a Chinese or a Japanese name, but it's not. It's your last name.
I know.
Two initials are your last names.
I know there was some contention in the band about whether we go that route or not. But in
It's a
the
good.
end,
It was a good idea. It's a great idea. Who cares what the
you know,
name?
well, the thing is when we came up with it, it's hard to name a band. First of all, it's very hard to name a band. And we were going to Memphis to, for the International Blues Challenge, and we didn't really expect to go there and win the whole thing. So it wasn't that big of a deal. We were just naming the band because we had only been together for a few months. We were just naming the band to just go down and do the thing and have some fun. But we ended up winning the whole thing. So then we had to keep the name.
Yeah, and that record is great. All of
Thank
it.
you.
There's not one bad song on that whole record.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Do you tour with them at all? Are you going to be doing any tours with those guys, or is it just local stuff you do?
Right now it's just local. You never know. I mean, there's always a possibility. The option's open. We played a bunch of festivals, after we won the IBC, released the album, and we did a big international tour. We did a whole North American tour a couple of years ago to support the record, and that was great. But right now it's a bit slower for that band because I have my own solo project, and Jeff Rogers has a solo project and his own album, which was nominated for a Blues Blast award for best soul blues album. And so he's got his own solo thing going on. I've got my own solo thing going on, and maybe we come back to Hirojo and light something up
You
again.
should do another record together.
Yeah.
You got a great singers. Two of you that can sing like crazy in that band.
Thank you. Yeah, Jeff is, he's one of the greatest singers on the planet, if you ask me. And I'm not even biased. I really actually think that, he could stand up next to any singer of any era, the greats, it doesn't matter. Jeff could stand there and sing next to any of those guys. And he's just incredible. But yeah, you never know what could happen. It's expensive to make a record, that's so it's easy to say, oh, you should make a record. I know. I mean, I'd love to be releasing an album every year, but in reality, it's very expensive.
Everybody that's heard that record loves it.
Thank you.
And it's different too. It's not what you expect.
Yeah, definitely different.
and it's not all 12 bar blues, but it's catchy. I mean, a lot of the songs on that record are very catchy and singable. People can, not even knowing the song, you could figure out the
Yeah,
words to the song.
yeah, yeah. That was the goal, honestly, when we wrote that album, and same with my new one. Everything now, it's like when we write these songs, the goal is for, like you just said, that for the listener to be singing it by the end of the song, right?
Yep.
And if you don't have choruses that have melody and that are interesting, then you don't really have anything. Like the old guys back in the day, take Muddy Waters or someone like that, Howlin' Wolf, like they just command. They had such a presence in their voice and their delivery that it didn't matter if the note selection was, super catchy. They were delivering it, and it was just like, whoa, you were blown away from that energy, from them, from
Yep.
the role. You could feel every word they were saying. Um, but not to say Jeff couldn't pull that off or anything, but it's different now. Music is different from what it was then, and I enjoy the melody as much as the Taylor Swift fans of the world.
Well,
So,
one thing I noticed from that, it's very modern sounding. It's not old school. It's very
no, it's
modern
clean.
sounding,
Yeah,
clean
we
and modern.
really went for a clean sound that clean and yeah,
But
intentional.
your
With
solo records are like that too in a lot of ways.
Well, yeah, they've become more and more like that over the years, for sure. Like when I first started out, the goal was to sound, as close to the 50s as possible. And then, a couple albums in, I started writing songs that weren't exactly fitting in that mold. So that meant the production would change a little bit too. And so over the years, it's changed. But like on the new record, for example, this tune Jimmy Vaughn is on, that's like a straight blues song. But even then, it's still got a couple little quirks to it that make it not exactly just 12 bars, an extra couple bars here or there, some weird stops. And I got to go back and forth soloing with Jimmy. So that was like pretty cool.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's great. So you released the album last year. You got another one under your belt, or you going to work on another one coming
Yeah.
up?
Working on another one I'm writing now. And just, I'll probably get something out next year at some point if things go well.
Wow.
Yeah.
You don't stop.
Well, you can't. I think about that a lot because it's like someone actually asked me the other day, what do you think of these bands that they kind of disappear, for 2-3 years and then they come back with a record? It's like, well, yeah, that's one way of doing it. But the problem with doing that for me or guys like me who are full-time touring musicians is if you disappear for any length of time,
Yeah, you can't.
you're not
You,
making any money.
right, you can't. You have to.
You can't do it. So anyway, but I love the touring as much as I love the recording, honestly, because like my latest band, I've got this incredible drummer. He's 23 years old, church kid, and grew up playing in the church since he was a little guy. Um, Man, he's just like on fire. His name's Joel Opong Boateng. And this guy is a machine. He's just such a wicked player. And so he's bringing a different energy to the band. And that forces Jacob Clark, the bass player, and myself to change some of the things we're doing. So we've got like a new opening song, and we've got all these different drum breaks and all these cool things. And plus, he's singing, and I've got Jacob singing. And so we've got 3-part harmonies worked out for so many of these songs that we're playing live. We're doing Five Royales stuff. We're doing all kinds of old blues and mixing in with our original stuff. So it's been really great to be touring like that for the last year, and we'll do that for the next 6 months or so, and then release another record at some point.
So what's it like in Ottawa in that area for blues? I asked you this before, but that things can change. And that was during COVID we talked. I mean, and the first time we ever talked was during COVID.
Yeah, so I mean, truthfully, there really isn't a very big blues scene here in Ottawa.
Toronto there is though.
Toronto, there's a bigger blues scene, yes. I mean, there are a couple thoughts on this whole thing. First of all, I mean, Ottawa has always been rich with blues bands. I mean, we had Sue Foley, um, Tony D, Monkey Junk. So Monkey Junk, Steve Mariner, for example. And then Steve and I started together, and when we were kids, and went our separate ways. He did his own thing with Monkey Junk and solo stuff, and so did I. Now we've got Angelique Francis playing. She plays a bunch of blues, and Yeah, that's it that I can think of. Angelina Hunter is picking up a little bit, and
You
a lot of these
mentioned
bands.
Monkey Junk. I love
Yeah,
Monkey Junk.
yeah, a great band. Yeah. Yeah, so but Monkey Junk, I mean, Steve now lives in Toronto, and a couple of the guys are here, but Monkey Junk isn't super active. They do a couple things, but Steve's doing his own solo things, and Tony D released his own solo record, is releasing a solo record, and everyone's kind of doing their own thing. But in terms of a blues scene in Ottawa, I mean, we have a blues jam every Thursday night at a club called Irene's, and otherwise, there's just not a lot happening really, because there are no blues clubs anymore. All the clubs are just doing whatever. They're doing all kinds of different music. So it's not like it used to be.
And Montreal, how is that when you get over there? Do you get over there at all, or
Not
Quebec
really.
City?
I only go there. I mean, I love going to Montreal, as a tourist. They've got a great sandwich place called Schwartz's, an old Jewish deli. It's like the best smoked meat sandwich you'll have in your life. And so I try to stop there a couple times a year. But in terms of the blues scene and stuff, I'm not sure. We play the Montreal Jazz Festival every couple of years, and otherwise, I'm not sure. I don't know what's going on.
There's a great video of Monkey Junk and James Harmon online. They just kick it with.
Oh yeah, Mont Tremblant. Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
great festival too. Yeah.
that's in Montreal too, right?
No, that's
No.
actually in Mont Tremblant, which is it's not Montreal. It's a few hours away. Yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
and that's a big one.
That's a big one. It used to be huge. Like they had huge blues bands playing there back in the day, but they lost funding. They used to have like Volkswagen, I think, and a couple big sponsors, but they don't really have big sponsors anymore, so they don't really have the big names anymore. But it's still a great festival. Yeah.
So let's talk about Chan's again. You're going to be there this Saturday night, the 21st, 8 o'clock. I think is the time.
Yeah.
8 p.m. And usually it's one long set or two sets. It all depends on the band.
Yeah, we'll probably do one long set. Yeah, it sounds good to us.
And they record you too. I don't know if you know that.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, he records all the shows, but doesn't give them up to anybody. He keeps them.
Interesting. Really? Okay.
And
We're gonna have
yeah,
to charge them double.
yeah.
You get the show, that's one price. And then you get, actually I have a funny story about that. I was in Memphis with Larry Taylor and Richard Innes. I had just recorded with them at Sun Studios.
Yep.
And they were playing with the Manish Boys back then on this label called Delta Groove. And Larry Taylor got wind that Randy Chortkoff was going to be recording the show. And he knew at that point that Randy was sometimes recording shows and then releasing them as their own albums, right? And so Larry said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not playing if he's not paying me. And right down to the last, an hour maybe before the show, he went up to Randy and he said, Randy, you're paying me for the gig. You're paying me for my performance today. You're not paying me to record me though. That is a different category, and you will pay me again for that, or you're not recording it. And Richard Innes he wasn't really a go-getter in terms of that kind of stuff. He was kind of like, whatever, I don't care. I play the drums and I do my thing. But Larry, he was all business. So if you think you're recording Larry Taylor, the guy who's recorded with everybody, Tom Waits and the Monkees and Jerry Lee Lewis and, all the Kim Wilson stuff and all Canned Heat and all that kind of stuff. If you think you're recording him and capturing his playing and not paying him, you got another thing coming. So I said to Larry before they went on stage, I said, so did everything work out? He goes, yep, we worked it all out. And so he's getting paid. If it worked out, that means he's getting paid. So anyway, we'll have to talk to John. He's going to have to pay us double.
Well, it all depends on the performance too. You might not want it. You see that? You never know.
Oh, he's going to want it. He's going to want it. I'm confident.
Yeah, I think that he records most of the shows that go through there, but I'm not positive. But I know some of them have. I know for a fact the sound guy that he has usually does.
No, interesting. Okay.
So,
interesting.
And there's you know how I know that? I really know that is John Hammond released a live recording from there.
Oh, cool. That's really cool.
And Joe Moss from Chicago released a live album from Chan. So There's a bunch out there, different ones.
Okay.
And he does record I don't know if he does it all the time, but I know periodically John Hammond, I
Okay.
couldn't believe it when I saw it live at Chan's. I'm going, you kidding me?
Oh, that's really cool, man. I'll have to check it out.
So
Excellent.
yeah, you might want to check some of those out. They really come out good. He gets great sound.
Okay, excellent. Excellent. Well, yeah, we look forward to the show on Saturday and hope to get the word out. So anything you can do to help is really appreciated.
Well, I'm gonna, and I know you're short on time today, and I just wanted to say thank you for taking a half hour of your time or whatever it is that we have, and I will promote it
Thank
this
you.
for the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much. Thank you so much.
All right, you take care of
All right.
yourself,
You too. All right, brother. Take care.
and we'll be in touch.
Okay, sounds good.
Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, bye bye.